Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
Shalom. Most High in Christ blessed. My name is Captain Joel. This is 15 Minutes with the Captains. Today's topic is war in heaven. So war in heaven, what am I talking about? Because within a Christian religion, once again, Christianity is a hell of a drug. For some reason, they think that God and Satan, which they also call Lucifer, had a war in heaven, and God cast Satan down into the underground, or Hades. That's Greek mythology. You've been watching too many movies. You've been watching Immortals. You've been watching too many Greek mythologies. You've been watching, what is that, with Beowulf. That's what you've been watching. Saying that God, or it really goes back to the Olympians fighting Hades and the Titans, and they were cast down to the underground. That's where you get your doctrine from. Ancient Greek mythology that was adopted within the Christian church. And they use scriptures, Bible scriptures. You see? That's talking about the angels were fighting with God, and the Satan and his angels were fighting, and a dragon, a mythical creature, came out of Europe and started breathing. No, that's not biblical. Let's get to Revelation chapter 12, verse 7.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. And there was war in heaven.
And there was war in heaven. Read.
Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
So is that talking about Michael and the angels fought against Satan and his angels? No, it's not talking about that. How do we know? Give me Job chapter 1, verse 7 now. Job 1, verse 7.
Job chapter 1, verse 7. And the Lord said unto Satan,
and God said unto Satan, but I thought that there was war on heaven. Satan was the one of the most beautiful angels that got jealous and fought against God. But God is having a conversation with Satan. Read.
Whence comest thou?
When do you come, Satan? Whence comest thou? Read.
Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth.
So I thought Satan was cast down into the underground, into Hades. But Satan says, Lord, I came from going to and from in the earth. Read.
And walking up and down in it.
And walking up and down freely in it, God. Read.
And the Lord said.
Does this sound like a man that was cast down from heaven? No. Read.
And the Lord said unto Satan.
And God said unto Satan, read.
Hast thou considered my servant Job?
Wait a minute. Why is God asking Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Read.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man.
Job keeps my commandments. He's upright and he's a law keeper. Read.
One that feareth God.
And he fears my commandments. He fears me. He fears my judgment. Read.
And escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught?
Job fears you for no reason. Read.
Hast not thou made an hedge about him?
You made a hedge about him. You protect him, God. You have a protective field over him, God, so that nothing happens to him. He has no temptations. He has no trials. He doesn't have any tribulation, God. You bless Job. Read.
And about his house, and about all that he hath on every side.
You gave him a house. You gave him land. You gave him wealth. You gave him crop. You gave him cattle, God. What does Job have to fear? What does he have to fear? What temptation? What trials he going through? What tribulation he's facing? That's why he fears you. That's why he walking perfect, God, because you haven't troubled his life just of yet. This is a natural conversation that God is having between him and Satan concerning Job. The trials that we have every day, it's a conversation that God has with Satan. Go ahead, try that man. That's the conversation that God is having to try us, to try your faith, whether or not you believe. Read.
Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power.
Look, God had to give Satan permission. Job says, let me touch him. But God says, all that he have, Job have, it's in your power now. I'm giving you authorization. Read.
Only upon himself put not forth thine hand.
Meaning only upon himself, don't put forth your hand. Meaning don't kill him. Read.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. You know what is that saying? Satan has to report to God. He has to give a report concerning those on the earth, deceiving those. Oh, this person doesn't believe. Oh, this person fears you for no reason, God. Oh, this person fell into this temptation. That's his job. Satan was commissioned a job, just like the rest of the angels have a job. Give me that Isaiah 45, verse 7, saying that there's war in heaven, and Satan and his angels fought against God and his angels, and Christ and his angels, or Michael and his angels. Read.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
God says, I, the Lord, do all these things. I create the light. I create the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. God creates evil. He says, I, the Lord, do all these things. Get me that now in Psalms. So God says, I create evil. Who created Satan? God created Satan. Guess what? After Christ. Read.
Psalms chapter 78, verse 49. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them.
God sent evil angels amongst the Egyptians. God sent evil all those plagues that was happening. Guess what? It was evil angels that God was sending amongst the Egyptians. Just like God gave Satan a job and a mission to complete, a task, as he also gave the evil angels during the time of the ancient Egyptian empire, going into the plagues that was sent on them to destroy the kingdom. Now, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 19.
First Kings chapter 22, verse 19. And he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left.
So all the hosts, all the angels, all the sons of God sitting on his right hand. The right represents your righteousness. And on your left hand, the left hand is going into the evil angels. So you have the angels on the right hand, the righteous angels, as well as the left hand, the evil angels. Go on.
And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith?
This is God having a counsel with his angels. Read.
And he said, I will go forth and will be a lying spirit.
He says, I will. You think that's a righteous angel? There's a righteous angel that was created perfect lie? No. This was an evil angel, an evil spirit. He says, I will persuade Ahab. I will go forth and be a lying spirit. He was commissioned by God to persuade Ahab, to try him, to see whether or not if he's going to trust in his word. Just like he went and tried Job. But Job was found faithful. Ahab was not. Ahab believed in it. Read.
I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so.
He said, you not only shall persuade him, but you also shall prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now, let's go back to Revelations 12, verse 7.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
I want you to keep that in mind. We're going to go back to that. Michael and his angels. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Go to verse 1.
Verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Go to Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 2. So it says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. What is the woman making reference to?
Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
The woman is symbolic to the nation of Israel. I have likened the daughter of Israel, the daughter of Zion, to a comely, warm, and delicate woman. Go back.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
The woman that was clothed with the sun and the moon was the woman, Israel being clothed with the laws of God. Why? The moon, the sun, and the moon represent two great lights, and being clothed in it, meaning there's clothed with the commandments. Because why? The law, give me that.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light.
And the law is a light, representing the law, statutes, and commandment that was given to the nation of Israel. Israel was clothed with the wisdom of God, with the laws of God. Now go back.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
And upon her head, the woman represented the 12 stars, meaning the nation of Israel. We're not going to break down this whole point. We're going to go straight to where we want to go to in terms of the dragon. Read on.
And she, being with child, cried.
And the woman, meaning Israel, being with child, cried. Who's this child? Jesus Christ. Read.
Travailing in birth and pain to be delivered.
Read.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon. We just read that earlier. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. Now we're getting to who the dragon is. Behold, a great red dragon. Why did it say a great red dragon? Is this talking about a mythological creature that you see in these movies? No, it's all metaphorically speaking, symbolic to a man. Give me that. Why does it say red? Read.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 25.
Verse 23.
Verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Esau. One people, meaning Jacob, should be stronger than other people. Jacob should be stronger than Esau. Jacob will be physically strong and mentally strong to endure the hardships and trials of captivity. Go on.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And an elder, meaning Esau, prophetically speaking, will serve the younger in the future. Read.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Meaning they were identical twins, but it was fraternal twins. Read.
And the first came out red.
And the first Esau came out what?
Red.
Esau came out red. Edom means red. Esau means wasted away is he. Because why? He has no pigmentation. He has no melanin. So the first came out red. The blood shows through his skin. Read.
All over like an hairy garment.
And not only is he red, but he's red and hairy. That's why if you take away the Gillette shaver from it, razor from it, what happens? He's hairy all over like a hairy garment. They look like dogs. We know some white friends that you have back at the work, at the job, at the office, in your college institutions. I said, damn, why are you hairy? You slap a record right in the back of the neck. What happens to the neck? It turns red. You put them in the sun, what happens to them? They turn red. You go to the beach. All of them look red. All their faces pale and skin coming off their face. Why? They're not pink. They're not white. This Bible's white. White represents purity. They're damn liars. They're red. They're trying to hide themselves from the true definition of who they are. They're red because they're uncooked. Read.
And they called his name Esau.
And they call his name Esau. Now get me Job. That's why it says a great red dragon. A great Job 30 verse 29.
Job chapter 30 verse 29.
Read.
I am a brother to dragons.
Jacob is a brother to dragon. That's why it says the first one came out red. And his name was Esau. That Esau technically is our older brother. That's why Job said, I am a what?
A brother to dragons.
We're brothers to dragons. They're dragon in nation. Fierce like. They devour. They destroy. Fire. They say fire-breathing dragon. Esau's a fire-breathing dragon. They drop bombs. They drop nuclear bombs. They fire their missiles. They destroy everything. They destroy towns. They destroy cities. They destroy waters. They destroy kingdoms. They're that great red dragon. Now let's go back.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 3.
Read.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
Read.
And behold, a great red dragon.
Esau is that great red dragon. Read.
Having 7 heads.
7 heads meaning 7 major ruling empires. I'll say it again. 7 major European ruling empires. Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, Great Britain, the 7 heads, the 7 kingdoms. Read.
And 10 horns.
And the 10 common markers representing EU or NATO today. Read.
And 7 crowns upon his heads.
Because why they was crowned. And each in the time periods when he came up back into rulership after Greece, Rome, they came up as Spain, and at first and so forth, so on. They would put crowns on their head, meaning they received a time in rulership. Now, keep going.
And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them.
Now, go back to Revelation chapter 12, verse 7.
Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels.
And the dragon fought and his angels. So now, who's the dragon? Going to Esau, the so-called white man, the European Union, as well as the 7 major kingdoms, the 7 major ruling empires, and the 8th being America, represent all European nations. The 7 heads, as well as the 10 common market, represents the dragon. And it says the dragon and his angels. That's why you see the Bible. That's why it says, I will give them eyes to see, the ears that they cannot hear. Because you can't see spiritually what the scripture is saying. The only way to interpret the Bible is precept upon precept, line upon line, here little and there little. When it says angels, it's not always making reference to the spiritual angels, the celestial beings, but angels are also making reference to terrestrial, meaning leaders, pillars, governors, rulers, teachers, prophets. Give me that.
1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 3.
Read.
Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life?
So what does it mean, know ye not that we shall judge angels? Is a mere man, a sinful man, going to change Raphael? Is a sinful man going to change Michael or Gabriel? No. How are we going to judge angels when don't get stupid and say, talking about the angels from the beginning, the sons of God that fell from heaven. No, we ain't talking, no. You even got that wrong. So when it says, know ye not that ye shall judge angels, it's not talking about spiritual angels or celestial beings. Give me that Matthew chapter 19, verse 28. This is what it means when it says, know ye not, ye shall judge angels.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 28.
Read.
And Jesus said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
The angels that we're going to judge is the 12 tribes of Israel. So angels is synonymous. It's used interchangeable. So angel could also be representing a person, not a celestial being, but a terrestrial being as well. Get me that in Psalm, 1 Samuel's. 2 Samuel 14, verse 17.
2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 17. Then thine handmaid said, the word of my Lord the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my Lord the king to discern good and bad.
You see, David was considered as an angel of God. So now, when it says Satan, the dragon, and his angels warred against Michael, as well as and his angels, you know, that's going into World War III. Oh, you didn't know about that? It's going into World War III. The Bible prophesied the end times to come. Talking about World War III. And it says, and Satan and his angel, or the dragon and his angels. When it says the dragon, I mean Esau, the European Union, and his confederacies. Though his allies. That's what it's going into. Those allied nations that you see in today on the news. With Europe, you have France. You have all those nations. Belgium. You have Germany. You see Ukraine is trying to get up in the ally. America right now is an ally with the European Union. But not in the future. They're going to turn against America. So now, give me that in Obadiah chapter 7. So when it says the dragon, meaning all the European nations along with their allies, is going to war with Christ and the angels. That's what the Bible's going into.
Obadiah Verse 7.
Read.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee.
So it's right here. It's talking about America. America, the eighth head or the eighth beast that came out of Great Britain. All the men of America's confederacy, meaning America, America was confederate with the European Union or EU, the 10 common markets, as well as America was confederate with India, as well as Saudi Arabia. But you're starting to see all the men of America's confederacy is starting to break away from them, starting to turn their back against them. Go on.
And prevailed against thee.
And prevailed against America. Read.
They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee.
So they that eat thy bread, they're confederate with them because why? They deal in the trading system, in trafficking. They deal in global trading with America. They that eat thy bread, they that partook in the import and export of goods, of commodities. Read.
Have laid a wound under thee.
And they're going to destroy America. Now, let's go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
It's saying the same thing. It's speaking about the same prophecy. It's speaking about the same time. Michael and his angels is going to fight the dragon and his angels, meaning Esau, the European Union, the EU, the 10 common markets, or what you know today as NATO. What you're seeing on today, Luxembourg, Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, all these European nations and all their allies, guess what? They're going to fight against Michael, Gabriel, Christ, and thousands of angels they don't fight against. Why do you think in the 1970s Reagan created what is called the Space Force? They said to what? To fight against any extraterrestrial activity out there. They know what's coming. They know a black man is coming down on a chariot, so-called UFO, and he's going to invade them with the truth. He's going to come in America. He's going to penetrate America. He's going to destroy NATO. He's going to destroy EU and all their allies. Every knee shall bow before him. Read.
And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered.
It says, and Michael, the great prince, shall stand up. The great prince that standeth for the children of thy people. Who's the children of thy people? Who's that talking about? The children of who? Give me Ezekiel 34, verse 31. Shall stand up for the children of thy people. Who is Daniel's people? What nation was Daniel from? The nation of Israel. Read.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse
Read.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 30.
Read.
Thus shall they know that I, the Lord their God, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, saith the Lord God.
So Michael the prince shall stand for the children of thy people, mean Daniel's people, meaning the children of Israel. Now go back.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time.
There shall be a time of trouble, meaning this war that you're going to experience is going to be like no other war. You saw the First World War. Many people died. The Second World War, 20 million people died. This war is nearly going to destroy everything. It's going to almost wipe out the earth. Why? Because this war is going to be done with thermonuclear warheads. Nations are no longer going to use just guns and swords and missiles, but this war is going to be with fire. Get me that in Isaiah chapter 9. This war is going to be a time of trouble that no nation seen on this earth. They're going to use nuclear capabilities that never existed. You thought the atom bomb was worse. More than 60 years later, there's worse bombs. You got damn Russia and Satan too. North Korea, Iran, China, Russia. All these nations have nuclear capabilities. India, and you have to use bombs. You have to use them. Read.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 18. For wickedness.
Nope. Verse 4.
Verse 4. For thou hast broken the yoke of his staff, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
But this war, every other war was with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this war is going to be different for all other wars. This war is going to be done by thermonuclear fire with fuels of fire. Now go back. That's why it says there's going to be a time that you've never seen on this earth before. Why? All throughout the kingdoms and history of men, never do you see that a scientific advancement to the level where they created atom bombs, nuclear missiles that's able to destroy the earth. That's why Michael, that great prince, shall stand for their people. Because why? This captivity, this is the only way it's going to be delivered. The angels got to get involved. This is the only time. Back then, Moses delivered us. This time, God says, no, I can't send Moses again. I got to send Christ and the angels to deliver them. I got to send the chariots, those so-called UFOs. Because if I don't gather them this way, then they're going to be burnt up and consumed with all the other nations. Read.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
And since at that time thy people, the children of Israel, shall be delivered. Get me Exodus chapter 32, verse 33. Everyone that is found written in the book. What book? Read.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 33. And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book.
Those that be found in a book, meaning the book of life. Anyone that sinned against God, he's going to blot you out of the book. So Michael and the angels is only come to redeem those commandment keepers. Those keeping the commandments in the faith of Christ. Everyone that's found written in the book. Why? Because we're going to have to be delivered from thermonuclear weapons, missiles, during the third war. There should be a time of trouble that nobody has ever seen before on this earth. Now, give me Joel chapter 3, verse 1. What time of trouble is going into? That's going to cause the angels have to come down. Oh, you thought the Battle of Los Angeles was just a facade. Don't you know what the Battle of Los Angeles means? The Battle Los Angeles. Let me say Los Angeles. Don't you speak Spanish? No, you don't. Okay, the Battle of Los Angeles. What's Los Angeles means? The angels, right? Okay, the Battle of the Angels. Who's battling them? The European Union, America. Go watch the movie. What do they put? They put aliens coming down on a space trip. No. That's them always mocking us, calling us monkeys, calling us aliens, calling us strangers. They're the aliens. They're the strangers. So the Battle of Los Angeles means the Battle of the Angels. That's why you have Independence Day. Why is it they make all these movies fighting against the aliens? Because they're showing what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be our Independence Day when Christ and the angels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and thousands of angels that comes with them, that's going to fight on our behalf. They're going to fight NATO. They're going to fight the European Union. They're going to fight and destroy America completely. They're going to fight India. They're going to destroy Germany. They're going to destroy Russia. They're going to destroy China. They're going to destroy Moab. They're going to destroy all these African nations. Not those Israelites that scattered throughout the diaspora. Not you. The Most High is going to shield you. Read.
Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
Meaning those days, the trouble, the time that Michael, the great prince, shall stand for his people. They shall bring again the captivity of Judah, Jerusalem. Read.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
What is that talking about? World War III. He's going to gather all nations. He's going to gather all ruling empires. He's going to gather the French. He's going to gather the Dutch. He's going to gather EU. He's going to gather NATO. He's going to gather China. He's going to gather India. He's going to gather Iran. He's going to gather North Korea. He's going to gather Saudi Arabia. He's going to gather all nations. America. Read.
And will plead with them there for my people.
He's going to bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is in the Middle East, so-called Israel. And he's going to plead with them there for my people. Is God going to give them roses? Is he going to kiss them? You know what I want. Is he going to say, please, 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 let my people go? No. It ain't going to be no singing. It ain't going to be no chucking and jiving. No. The way God pleads is with blood. It's with fire. It's with fury. Read.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 16.
Read.
For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh.
By fire and by fighting with the sword. God is the one orchestrating the Third World War. He's putting the pieces together as we speak. By fire and by what?
And by sword.
And by weaponry. Read.
Will the Lord plead with all flesh?
Meaning, will the Lord plead with flesh? Meaning he's going to bring the nations into the east. He's going to bring them to Israel, Palestine. He's going to bring them all the way over there by the Mediterranean Sea as well as the Dead Sea. And he's going to plead with them. Meaning they're going to kill each other. They're going to destroy themselves. Read.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many.
And the death, the slain of God shall be many. Go back to Joel chapter 3.
Joel chapter 3 verse 2.
Uh-huh.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Meaning the valley of final decision in the Middle East, so-called Israel. In Israel today, read.
And will plead with them there for my people.
Meaning he's going to have the nations destroy each other there for the nation of Israel. Read.
And for my heritage Israel.
Read.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
Because why? The reason why the Third World War is happening, because why? They decided to enslave us and scatter us. Read.
And parted my land.
And not only did they enslave us and scatter us throughout all nations, but they parted his land. The Palestinians as well as the so-called Israelis took our land for themselves. So God's going to destroy them for the controversy of Israel. What is the controversy? That land belongs to none of them. And God's going to excommunicado them out of the land. He's going to wipe away them. He's going to eradicate them out of the land. Go to verse 11.
Verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen.
God says, assemble yourselves, gather, come, gather all ye kings of the earth. Gather Russia, gather China, gather India, gather Iran, gather Saudi Arabia, gather the Carmanians, gather the Saudi Arabia, gather the Arabs, gather all ye heathens, gather all together and come down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Read.
And gather yourselves together round about.
Come around about. Read.
Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord.
Gather all your armies. Gather the Navy SEALs. Gather the CIA. Gather all your armies round about. Read.
Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Wake up the mighty men and bring them to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Read.
For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
God's going to judge all nations. Why? Because all nations had us in slavery. That's right. Your King Wang Zhengfang had us in nations. Your Chinese, what is that Chinese president? Ching Ching Yang Yang Ling. Your Saudi Arabia, what's that Arab? Apu? What is some African? Whatever their names is. God's going to gather all the nations. Read.
Verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe.
Mm-hmm.
Come, get you down, for the press is full.
Go to verse 14.
Multitudes.
Many nations. Read.
Multitudes in the valley of decision.
Oh, God's bringing them all down because everybody, every last one of them had their partook in our slavery. Every single one of them. Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't worry, Putin. You too. We know the history behind Russia. That's why people's over there. You're going to get it. You're going to get this work too, Putin. Read.
For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
The day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 9, verse 14 now.
Zechariah chapter 9, verse 14. And the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning.
So in the midst of the battle, Christ is going to be seen over us. In the midst of the battle, his what?
And his arrow shall go forth as the lightning.
His arrows talking about his missiles shall go forth as a lightning. Read.
And the Lord God shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with the whirlwinds of the south.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with sling stones, and they shall drink and make a noise as through wine, and they shall be filled like bowls.
Get me 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 29. So God, the Lord, shall be seen over us. Christ is going to be in the middle of the battle, in the middle of the third war. As the nations are destroying each other, guess what? Christ is going to be seen over us. Read.
2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
When God is going to begin to deliver us. Who? Those the children of Israel. There shall be a time of trouble. What time? The Third World War. The Third World War. When he shall begin to deliver those that are on the earth. Read.
And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
Read.
And one shall undertake to fight against another.
Showing you what Christ is going to show in the midst of the battle. One is going to fight against another. Read.
One city against another.
One city against another. Read.
One place against another.
One place against another. Read.
One people against another.
One people against another. You have Europe fighting. You have China fighting. You have Iran fighting. You have Saudi Arabia fighting. You have America fighting. All nations of the earth is going to be fighting one against another. Read.
And one realm against another.
And one kingdom against another. Read.
And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
And then Christ is going to appear. Whom you saw as a man ascending. Christ in the middle of the battle. You're going to see him come down, a big black man coming out of a chariot. The same way he came, he was sent up. When he died, the same chariot that he's going to take, and he's going to descend down. He's going to see all the nations fighting in the midst of them. He's going to see all the destruction, all the earth, and chaos, and confusion. Blood everywhere. It says the blood shall reach the horse's bridle. Read.
And when all the people hear his voice,
they're going to hear his voice. All you're going to hear is the Son of Man, white woolly hair, coming down, descending out of a chariot. And you're going to hear his voice. That's why it says his voice was as the multitude of waters. Everybody's going to hear him. Read.
Every man shall in their own land leave the battle.
You're just going to hear a loud scream. Remember, he said, not going to meet you as a man. He's going to come screaming as a mighty man. Or you're going to have, ah! And he's going to come. And he's going to come and descend about America. And everybody's going to say, whoa, what is this? He's going to make his presence. You know, black people like to come late. Black people like to come. That's where we get it from. Black people like to come at the end of the event and make their presence says, I'm here. Look at me. Read.
Every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
They're going to say, wait a minute. We're not the problem anymore. This is the man that these Israelites been speaking about. That's the problem. Let's stop this fighting. Let's fight him. Read.
And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them.
So did we not just read that? And Michael and his angels and a dragon and his angels. So we just read that in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. Read.
Willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
Oh, willing to come and overcome him by what?
By fighting.
By what?
Fighting.
By what?
Fighting.
Go back to Revelation 12, verse 7 again. Willing to overcome him by fighting. There was war in heaven. There was war in the kingdoms of the earth. Read.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 7.
Read.
And there was war in heaven.
Read.
Michael and his angels fought against...
Michael and his angels, that's talking about Christ too. Christ, Michael, Gabriel, all the angels is coming to invade America and all the earth. Read.
Fought against the dragon.
And it fought against the dragon. What is the dragon going to? Read.
And the dragon fought and his angels.
The dragon is going to the European nations. The EU, at this point, at this time, America has been destroyed by the EU, by the European nations or NATO. So now they're seeing Christ. So the dragon, the EU, NATO, the 10 common markets, the 10 horns, as well as his allies, those fighting in the valley of Jehoshaphat in the so-called Middle East between the Dead Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, they're going to see Christ. They're going to see Michael. They're going to see Gabriel. They're going to see Raphael. They're going to see the thousands of angels coming to invade America, coming to invade Israel, coming to invade all the kingdoms of the earth. That's why it says he saw Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. Is that it?
That's it on that, yes, sir.
Now go back.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top.
Go back to 34.
Verse 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
That's why it says Michael and his angels fought the dragon and his angels. Read.
But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion.
Didn't we just read that in Zechariah 9? And he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, protecting us. Read.
And Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men.
And Zion shall become and be shown unto all men. You know what is that talking about? Give me that in Psalm chapter 91. And Zion should come and to be shown unto all men. Because why? In the middle of the battle, in the middle of the destruction, he's going to take us up. Read.
Psalms chapter 91 and verse 1.
Nope. Verse 4.
Verse 4. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy
The
shield.
laws of God. That's why it says all that is found in the book of life. His truth shall be our shield. Read.
And buckler.
And our truth, and a shield, and our buckler. Read.
Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor by the arrow, nor for the arrow that flieth by day,
Nor the nuclear missiles. Read.
nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday.
Nor the destruction that wasteth at noonday. That's going to that thermonuclear destruction. Read.
1,000 shall fall at thy side,
1,000 shall fall outside. Read.
and 10,000 at thy right hand.
That's talking about thermonuclear fallout. 1,000 at thy side and 10,000 at our right hand. Read.
But it shall not come nigh thee.
It's not going to come unto us. Read.
Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked.
Only with our eyes, because didn't it say he shall come over and be over Zion and all nations shall see us? How are they going to see us? Give me Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. In the midst of the battle, as they war in kingdoms and realms and cities and nations are warring against each other, as America's being destroyed, Zion is going to be protected. The angels are going to take us up. And read.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16.
Read.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout.
And that's when Christ is coming. He's going to come in the midst and descend from heaven with a shout. That's why they say, wait a minute. They heard his voice and they fled from him. And they say, who's that? That's the shout that he's talking about. Read.
With the voice of the archangel.
Read.
And with the trump of God.
Read.
And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Go on.
Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them
in the middle of the destruction. We that are alive, when the thermonuclear missiles destroy of America, we're going to be protected. And we're going to be what?
Caught up together with them in the clouds.
We're going to be caught up together with them in the what?
In the clouds.
In the so-called UFOs, the chariots. We're going to be caught up together in the chariots of God. Go back to 2nd Ezra now.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come.
Shall come what? In the chariots. And those that are alive shall descend up when Christ comes and make his shout. When Christ makes his appearance on the scene, guess what? He's going to redeem Israel from the lands of our captivity, and he's going to destroy the other nations. They're going to might only with our eyes, so we see the reward of the wicked. We're going to watch the battle. We're going to see Christ. We're going to see Michael. We're going to see Gabriel and the angels fight against the NATO. We're going to see NATO and their allies fight against Christ and the angels. Read.
And shall be showed unto all men.
All men is going to see us. All men is going to see us descend into those chariots. They're like, damn. Or not give me that in Wisdom of Solomon. They said, wait, were these the people? These were the children of Israel. They're going to know that day that a prophet been amongst them. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1.
Read.
Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear.
When they see it, they're going to be what?
Troubled with terrible fear.
They're going to see it, and they're going to be troubled with terrible fear when they see that destruction. Read.
And shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation.
Wait, they're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation. Because why? In the midst, they're going to say, wait a minute, I thought that was a fairy tale. In the midst of the thermonuclear destruction, they're going to see Zion being caught up in the clouds. They're going to be seeing us taken up in the chariots. They're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvations. Those slave songs that our forefathers and foremothers sang, swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry us home, the angels on the other side of Jordan. The forefathers knew. Our ancestors knew in slavery, but the other nations don't know. They didn't believe our report. They didn't understand us. They did not believe this Bible. Read.
So far beyond all that they look for. And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness.
We're idiots. We counted these people's lives madness. We called them black identity extremists. We called them terrorists. We persecuted them. We killed them. We locked them up. We kicked them out of their houses. We spoiled their goods. We took the kids in captivity. We fools. Yeah, you are a fool. You're going to find out that day. Now go back.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 36. And Zion shall come and be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
Read.
And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire.
And that's going to the war of heaven. Get me Isaiah chapter 31, verse 5 now.
Isaiah chapter 31, verse 5. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it.
And as birds flying, God is going to deliver us. Jesus Christ, the black Messiah, is going to deliver us. One more scripture, Habakkuk 3, verse 12. Showing you the Christ, Michael, the Gabriel, all the angels are going to invade America. And they're going to deliver us in the midst of that. Read.
Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 12. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger.
That's the war in heaven. That's the war. Michael and his angels warring against the dragon and his angels. Read.
Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people.
He's going to go forth for the salvation of the children of Israel.
Even for the salvation which thine anointed.
Mm-hmm.
Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Selah. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me.
That's the war in heaven. The armies of the nations came out as a whirlwind to scatter Christ and the angels. Read.
Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly.
They thought that they could kill us. They thought through their public school system. They thought through their food, drug administration. They thought through the mass incarceration system. They thought these things, they had us. Read.
Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled. My lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble.
So, and with that, that's your war in heaven. That's Revelation 12, verse 7, when it says, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. His angels, it's not talking about Satan and his angels and the evil angels and God and Christ and his evil angels having a war in heaven. It's not going to the movie Immortals. It's not going to Greek mythology. It's not going into the Olympians fighting against the, the Olympians fighting against the Titans. It's not talking about that. It's talking about World War III, when the angels of God, Christ, Michael, Gabriel, all the angels, the men of war, going to come and invade this earth. And it's going to fight NATO and their allies. That's when it's going to. Shalom, most High in Christ bless. It's Captain Joel once again, and 15 minutes with the captains.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.